Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Sherwood Code V or Code 5 and Code 3 glove snapshot review. So I still don't have ice in my area, so I can't get these on the ice. I also want to say right off the bat, to be very transparent, Sherwood sent me these gloves as well as a stick, shoulder pads, elbow pads, shin pads. You'll see videos on all of those. They sent them to me because they liked my 50-30 glove review and they wanted me to do this stuff. They did not send me the threes. I picked it up at a local store because I saw it and I wanted to talk about them. But first we are going to focus on, well, we're kind of doing both at the same time, I guess. We'll talk about the differences. Before that, if you are purchasing gear, please check out the link in the description. If you use that link and any link on my website, I get a kickback, which helps fund the channel so I can keep doing gear reviews and making more content. It'd be greatly appreciated. So Sherwood sent me these, but I'm going to be totally honest with them because that's kind of what I do. Let me say that this glove is like so close to being honestly the best retail glove on the market, and it's only $150 Canadian. That's pretty impressive. There is a few faults with it, so I'll get into those when we look at the glove itself, but I want to say that's ridiculously impressive to start with. Really quick, I guess a comparison between these two, and one of the reasons why I wanted to grab the Code 3 gloves. So these are $109 Canadian, which is also a ridiculously good price. I'm going to get rid of that one because it has tags. The difference is you can see the nylons are a bit different. This one has this faux, like fake leather material, which is pretty nice. The other difference is the index finger and the middle finger. The foam package is also different. This has two different densities of foam with a plastic insert. This one just has a single density foam with plastic insert. The protection on this is actually pretty good. My complaint about it is when you go like this with your fingers, that does have too big of a gap and you can get a stick through it. So that's a little disappointing. So I wish they would add those inserts back in. Like just add that third piece. Even honestly, if you just did it on the middle finger, it'd be fine. And that way it would stop a stick or anything from getting in there because it would stop it going through the whole thing. That would make that better in that sense. Like, yeah, the liner is different. It doesn't have this adjustable piece right here, but the cuff is the same. Flex thumbs are the same. The palms are slightly different. The Code 3 doesn't have like the laser etched things on there, and instead it's like printed in and it's less comfortable. But the palms are unbelievably comfortable being AX suede. It's amazing. This palm is awesome. Like just awesome. Put this on the 50-30, please. And then we're good. For $109 Canadian, which ends up being like $90 US or something, I'm not sure how that conversion is going to work, is ridiculous for what you get in this glove. Like it's just great deal. But yeah, so I'm going to skip on this. I'm done with this now. It's a good glove. I should actually try it out. It's pretty comfortable. I'm going to talk about this one because this one is the one they sent me, but it's also the one I'm more interested in. So I kind of showed off that feature already. For $150, this is a pro level glove. There's no other way to look at it. The features and the materials and everything on here are the same quality as a $230 Bauer CCM. Anything like Warrior, anything else, True, especially True. But there are some flaws, and I kind of want to go over that. The nylons and stuff are great. This material is found on the CCM 4-roll 2s, I think, and on the lower end Bauers. I think it's great, though. I have no issues with it. I don't think it's cheap or anything. I really like this material. I mentioned it has an adjustable cuff piece right here, so you can make it tighter, the cuff tighter or looser. I don't understand why this is here. I think they should take it out. I don't feel like anyone's ever going to do that because it does restrict movement more, and it's like, what's the point of it? Everyone is basically going to do this or never touch it, and I think that's a little too much that something isn't needed, because that way you do have a lot more mobility there and it opens up better. So I don't think they need to change that at all. It's just sew it in like this one and not worry about it, or even just put it on if you put it on spandex, kind of like this right here, you put that on spandex, so when you go like this, even flex out more. That would be pretty nice too. The flex thumb is really good. It flexes very well. It honestly feels better when you do this than the Bauer 2X Pro did. And the glove kind of moves better with it too. I felt the Bauer's was too stiff, where this one's really good. So I mentioned the palm. AX Suede is the company that made Quattro palm. So Quattro was Bauer's specific makeup of AX Suede. AX Suede is a really nice material. It's on my STX, the colored palms, and many Pro Stock gloves. It's great. I think True now has it on their gloves that aren't out yet. It's super comfortable. It feels amazing in your hands. I'm not sure what the durability on this will be like. I don't have durability problems because I use Tacky-Mac, I use lizard skins, I use like tape alternatives, so my palms don't get eaten up at all. But it's super comfortable, and I do like the breathability part in here. You have spandex gussets, which is pretty common for like top end gloves. I still wish it had the Nash on the tips. Evidently, there's a Code V Pro coming out. I would love to see what's on that to see if it's any different, but to see if they do that Nash there. 3-piece middle index finger, which is great. And so there is a gap like right here. It's harder to hit on the Code V's, but you can notice it on this one more. There is like kind of a gap, so you could get your fingers there, but with these here, basically sticks will hit this instead, so it won't really be an issue for protection. I did that stick protection on this and it passed really well, except for 2 spots, which I'll get to in a second. All protection here is all like pretty good. I like this 3-piece design. Well, 2-piece, I guess, but it does move well with your fingers. It's decently thick enough. I feel like it's a better design than what like my Bauer's ones did, like this, where it's just a hard piece of foam and plastic. This is a softer piece and plastic, so it should get a bit better impact dispersion there. Outside has an interesting 3 design setup. Usually this is just 1, but there is no plastic in these. It's just a foam. So I'm curious why they went with that. It feels comfortable enough and I didn't have any issues with it, but I'm just something I want to point out. The cuff is super flexible. So you can see how it moves over the 4-roll. This is kind of what I talked about on the 50-30 gloves, is that the cuff design was too kind of close. So when you tried to move it, it wouldn't really flex up because it would hit this. What they did on this is because it goes over, and this is kind of what I was talking about on those 50-30 gloves, is it moves with your hand. So it feels much more flexible and it feels much nicer. I wish they did like basically this cuff on the 50-30, which is just a more traditional 4-roll, and it would have been like fantastic. Overall mobility in this is really good. So originally Sherwood sent me 15s. I asked them how do they compare to the 50-30. They said it was the same. So I got the 15s and basically my hands were swimming, or the gloves were swimming on my hands. My finger, you can see right here for the 14s is slightly coming out the past this. I feel like the 15s of these basically fit like a 15.5. It is a little big, and basically my index finger was swimming on this one. I couldn't totally straighten this. And then like it was pretty loose. So I returned them to a local store, grabbed the 14. Like here's a 15 APX2 Pro. My fingertips are pretty close, like basically right at the end of the actual foam itself. When I wore these in 15, I did have a gap. So I had to go down that one size, and going down a one size, they do feel a lot better on my hands than what the 15 ones did. 50-30s I felt played fine, like fit normal. This one felt a little bit big in that sense. I love the design. It's super mobile. Mobility out of it is fantastic. The way that this is cut, so you have like these 2 segments here and this segment, it really moves well with your hand like moving and everything. And one thing I like to do is kind of really close the hand like this, just to see how much the brakes work. And you can really see how much this glove not only deforms, but kind of like, it's really good. The mobility in this is excellent. And it will only get better when working it in, and there's no protection issues right there. So my issues with this glove, I said that these are basically like a top end glove for $150, and I stand by that, but they did have, in my opinion, 3 pretty big flaws that I think Sherwood can make very small adjustments to, and by doing so would make these like easily the best glove for, especially for price, on the market. The one thing I noticed when doing my impact protection was when you get hit right here, the thumb plastic, so your thumb is basically made up of this, and it kind of like sits right there. This one is obviously wider than this one was. This came from a Barbero glove, but basically what happens is that digs right into your basically right here, and it really hurts. So you can kind of see on this glove that I started taking apart, that is the edge of the thumb plastic right here. And so this part doesn't have enough padding behind it. It's kind of too sharp on this glove to be really comfortable, and it's kind of disappointing in that sense. When you take the liner out, it's even worse. Okay, so you can see like this part bulging out, that's the thumb plastic, and there's not enough padding behind it, and B, it's too like sharp. So if it came down this far, it should kind of be shaven off a little bit here, so it doesn't all like have the ability to go all the way into your hand. And I don't think that would really sacrifice anything, because it's like digging deeper in here. So you could pull that, shave like a little bit of this plastic off, and you'd be totally fine right there. If you take the insert out and do it, you can really feel it. Like you see how like this moves in, there's that plastic piece right there that digs right into here, and it's super uncomfortable if you got a hard impact on there. So that's really disappointing. The next really disappointing part to me, and I've been seeing this a lot on gloves recently, is anytime a glove has a flex cuff, they have this spandex behind it that helps the glove flex and move. I don't mind that spandex. My problem is what happens on gloves like this, and you can see actually through the spandex and out the other side under here, is that there ends up being nothing between the spandex itself and this. So I don't know if there's a piece of plastic in here. I can't really feel like there's any plastic in here, but which also would definitely help if you did add plastic and then foam. But what happens is when you get hit here, all that like pressure gets put right through the foam, through the spandex, because the spandex isn't offering any protection, and right into the back of your hand. So that really hurts too. So my mini sit test hurt there and on the cuff itself. The way to fix this is actually pretty easy. If you take this liner, and where this liner is actually connected onto the palm or the glove, if you move it above the spandex piece, and then that would give you that gap and extra foam all the way through. But it also shouldn't make the glove less mobile, because that spandex, or because that liner is connected at the top here, the spandex part will still work how it's supposed to and kind of flex like this, because the liner will just be kind of sitting on top of your hand and should move with it fine. So it shouldn't really be an issue. The other thing is, if you look, like the glove, the spandex doesn't really do all that much coming this way. Like ideally it will come like with your hand, but it never actually happens, because that's kind of what happens. So it really makes no difference there anyways. So I would personally take the spandex out and just put this liner higher up, so you have that extra layer of protection, because you don't really lose in mobility, and it's just like that's how like you get that added comfort. Because right now the way this is, if I would take a block a shot through there or take a hard slash, that's going right into your wrist, and that's pretty disappointing. Other bad part about these gloves is, so the liner itself falls apart when you pull it, and specifically at the seams. So they have this liner, and it says it's a COP R29 permanent antibacterial liner. It also happens on their COP R29. It's a different type of liner, but you can kind of see it on the edges here of this glove. So it happens on both. So I've seen this before, and I saw it on, so this was a Verbero glove that I ripped apart. This was where I got this thumb piece from. So basically what happens is, if you look at the seams, hopefully I can get this on camera a lot, but I've been doing this a lot to test it. You can see the liner, the material splitting when you pull. And so obviously you're not going to be making like this motion when you're playing and stuff like that. But what's going to happen is that's just going to tear and keep going. And if it gets caught on something, like if you just in a game when there's a lot of stuff going on, this is going to wear out after a while and going to pull. I test this on like all of the gloves I use, just because this was the first one I ever noticed it on. So you can see it on the Verbero one, and you pull and it just pulls apart. And it's like the material wasn't strong enough for the stitching. And I told Verbero this, and to their credit, the next version of glove that they came out did not have this issue. So I don't know what they did differently on this, but this material definitely changed and made it better so it wouldn't just rip apart everywhere it was sewn, which was a very good job by Verbero in increasing that, or fixing that. And that's something that Sherwood has to do with this liner, because if you can pull at the seams and it starts like pulling out, that's going to wear out over time and going to kind of fall apart. So that's the other kind of thing that my problem with this glove. That one's kind of minor. So at $150 Canadian, this glove is probably the best value on the market for the whole like total package. But Sherwood isn't targeting $150 gloves. They are targeting $250 gloves and the top price point gloves with this. And you can tell that by the tech that they're using and like the palm they're using. But the problem here is I have a hard time recommending this against any of those more expensive gloves because of the protection issues on the cuff and on the thumb itself. If you're playing like rec hockey to the point where like there's no slashing, no one really lifts their stick, and it's just like kind of like really shitty basically, and you're not blocking shots, these gloves will be super comfortable. They're super mobile. You'll probably really like them. But when I do reviews, I'm reviewing them for basically like hardcore hockey, and this wouldn't pass for me. And I'd have a hard time recommending someone to do this, because if you get slashed on that thumb, it's going to hurt. If you get slashed on that cuff, it's going to hurt. If you go to block a shot, either of those, it's really going to hurt. And I think they could have done a better job there. Like the whole thing, this glove is really good, but it's just missing those few little pieces and like the durability of the liner for me to really say like, yeah, go get this. This glove is like also a great value at $109. It's a ridiculous value, especially with the palm. But again, it still has those same issues with protection behind this cuff and on the thumb. And So small changes to both of these make them the easiest like recommendation possible on the market, especially for the price. But until they do that, I have a hard time telling someone to do that because I feel like you could get hurt wearing these and it isn't as good as it could be. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you thought this was interesting. Thank you very much for Sherwood for sending me these gloves to do this review on. This one's a snapshot review. I'll probably review them long term just to see if they have any issues with them. Remember to subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links in the description. I have smaller content stuff on there that you won't find on YouTube. If you ever do buy a piece of gear because of one of my videos, please reach out to your manufacturer, let them know on social media. It helps me get on their radar so I can get gear like this, so I can review and make content. And if you are buying equipment, please check out the links in the description. If you are purchasing a piece of equipment or anything hockey related, please check out the link in the description to Pure Hockey or Pure Goalie if you're in the US. Any purchase through there using that link gets me a kickback to support this channel so I can keep doing videos and keep making content. Thank you very much for watching and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.